Hello gorgeous, and a warm welcome to Accepting. I'm Aline, your host, and today we're outside with the glorious sun rising under the tree of love. If I just move to the side, you can see the gorgeous heart behind me, naturally carved in the tree, and really felt to feel into feeling safe and keeping the faith today with all that's going on in the world. We've just entered Mercury in retrograde. We're in the middle of the eclipse season. We have another eclipse coming up in a few days. And as empaths, sometimes it can feel rather a lot with all that going on. So grab yourself a cup of tea and please do review, subscribe, follow wherever you get your podcasts. And please do leave a review, my gorgeous, because we really wish to reach more and more people. And I like to be outside. I'm guided to be outside under the tree of love in the medicine wheel so I can share as much of this beautiful energy with you as I can. So please do share the word. And spread the word. Mercury in retrograde. So grab yourself a cup of tea, get yourself cozy, and let's dive in. Welcome to Accepting, where I guide you to accept all aspects of your beautiful self. Embrace your truth and live your life that way. Hello beautiful, warm welcome to this episode. We're outside under the tree of love, the sun's coming through behind me, it is absolutely gorgeous with this morning chorus going on, and I feel safe and I'm keeping the faith. I nearly didn't record this because I opened the door and thought, oh, it's a bit chilly out here, oh, my shoulder's going to get around my ears, oh, am I going to be a bit distracted with everything that's going on? So that is when I know, yes, it's time to record. Because everything that comes up for me is for you too, my gorgeous. So where we currently are at the moment, we have entered the fire horse. We have Pluto's in Aquarius until 2043. We have Jupiter in Cancer until the end of June this year. And there's an awful lot going on in the world. Pluto is the great revealer. And especially in Aquarius, which is all about individualism and being independent and standing in our power, there is so much happening. And as we've been really working on ourselves, the whole world, as empaths, as sensitives, as healers, as creatives, as we work on ourselves, our individual vibration rises and also the vibration of the collective rises. So we're seeing so many things being revealed. We're seeing the truth because fundamentally we have all agreed to come here to show the truth, to be our truth. And when we've been wearing masks and when we've been conforming and fitting into society, when all that is happening and we've been doing that for so many years, and all of a sudden we start feeling, well, actually, that doesn't quite work for me. Don't really feel like I'm being authentic, and it's not really serving me, this relationship, whether that be friendship or intimate relationship or job or home or family, anything. We start feeling, well, actually, no, this doesn't quite work for me. And that is when huge changes in our lives and in the world start happening. Because as we're making decisions and really living our authentic truth, that goes out into the universe. And that's what we're seeing around us. We're seeing the great revealers. We're seeing where people have been lying. It's being shown. And as we know, to build on new ground, it's really important that we have really healthy foundations. And sometimes that means a little shake-up of the old bricks, of the old structure, coming down, so we can then have a beautiful, solid, nurturing, fresh soil from Gaia to start building beautiful blocks with truth, with love, with respect, with compassion. And as the world is changing, and as we're waking up to our truth, lies, fear, hatred, they don't belong in a compassionate place. And so what starts happening is it starts being shown. Pluto and Aquarius is revealing everything. We're in Mercury retrograde now as well, which is very much, many feel that, okay, it's Mercury retrograde, the computer's not going to work, this isn't going to happen, don't travel, don't do this. Mercury retrograde is the most wonderful time to go inside. It's to really talk to yourselves. It's to really feel into what's working for me. It's to really focus on inner work, because the more inner work we do, we feel, and I'm using doing, the more inner work we practice, then that starts showing around us. And the world is changing. We're going so much more towards the divine feminine. We're really, really connecting with our roots, quite literally. As we're outside, we're connecting with Mother Gaia, we're connecting with the roots of the earth. And also we're connecting with the roots of our ancestors. Yes, many of us are here to break ancestral trauma. Let's not forget all the amazing qualities and attributes of our ancestors that have passed down to us as well. So it's finding that balance. And what the eclipse season allows us to do is balance. And sometimes, as I said, those structures have to come down. So with the eclipse, because there's so much going on, we have the fire horse that's come through with the energy of that solar eclipse. So that was a day. And then we have eclipse season taking us through and showing us what doesn't work for us anymore. So old paradigms, old ways of thinking, limiting beliefs, they're all falling down, and not necessarily falling down, they're changing, they're transforming, they're transmuting. So fear is transmuting into love. So where we were people pleasing to the nth degree, now we've got boundaries, and we're saying actually no. And not everybody in our environment is going to be okay with that, and that's fine, because we're all here for experience. There's nobody higher or lower than us. That's so important to remember as well. We're all here for experience, and sometimes we can be in an experience for years and years and years and finally go, oh, actually I've got it now, let's move on, let's have another experience, thank you very much. And sometimes those around us don't leave that experience at the same time as us, and it's okay to move on. It's okay to say thank you so much for being in my life, thank you for this experience, thank you for our agreement that we had to meet in this life and have the experience together. I'm moving on for more experiences. It is your choice to stay in this experience or move on with me. It's none of our business, and as empaths, this is a tricky one. It's none of our business to get involved in other people's experiences. All we can do and be is in our experience, and if we are asked for advice, if we are asked for assistance and guidance, then we can be involved, absolutely. It is to our detriment, this is coming in so strongly, it is to our detriment and to others' detriment if we just jump in savior mode and try and smooth everything over and make sure that everybody's okay, so we feel okay because we're feeling what everyone's feeling around us. That doesn't work in the long run. That will exhaust you, and that will exhaust the other people, because they're not being accountable for their lives. And that felt really strongly to come up. So sometimes feeling safe to us can be making sure that everybody's okay around us. And actually, my gorgeous, maybe feel into, well, for me to feel safe, does everybody else have to feel okay and be safe around? Or am I able to stay in my center, stay grounded, have my boundaries, know what works for me, live my truth, be creative, feel into kindness, compassion? What does my soul really yearn, desire in this life? What lessons and experience can I have and experience? And how can I help others? So, for example, you might say, well, why are you doing this podcast then? because it's a choice. I choose to share, and it's your choice to listen. It's simple as that. It's a choice. Every moment of our life is a choice, and there's no good or bad, there just is. And that's what I'm fundamentally saying, is allow people their choices, allow people their experiences. And obviously this is for me as well, because since I was knee-high to a grasshopper, it's been ask Aline. Because as empaths, as creative, intuitive empaths, we get answers like that sometimes. Okay, sometimes we can be in the way of that, and our own influence can be there. Many times, the first insight that comes through like that is the true one, is the best one for us or who's around us. And it's so difficult sometimes to zip it. Because if we haven't been asked and we've got this, well, actually that would help them. If they do that, they could do this. That document's not quite right. They're having a conversation about this, but they've missed this out, or they've missed this out. It can be so difficult to button our beak, shall we say. So when we're in a situation like this, and this is what the way I've been working recently, is just to send love to that situation and to know that your family, your friends, your loved ones, whoever they are going through their experience. There we go, throat chakra. And if they feel to ask you, they will. It's their choice. And this is where the healthy boundary checklist really does come in, because it's also for ourselves. That the healthy boundary checklist has been created for all of us. You know, when somebody says, have you got 5 minutes? We can also work with it on ourselves, because if we're about to jump in and nobody's asked us, we can go through a series of questions. We can ask ourselves, is this an emergency? And is that person capable of speaking to me to ask for help? If the answer is yes, this is an emergency, and that person is not capable of speaking to me to ask for help, then of course we're going to help. That goes without saying. You know, that's the extreme. So that's the first question on the healthy boundary checklist that we ask ourselves. If somebody asks if we just got 5 minutes, let's reverse, let's put it back on ourselves. So let's go through this ourselves, because there can be this real tendency to jump in when we haven't been asked. So first of all, is it an emergency? If it's a yes, and that person's not capable of asking for help, and you know they need help, of course we're going to help. We're not going to walk away. We're empaths, for goodness sake. And we're human beings. And we're compassionate and kind, and we would like people to feel okay and safe. And we trust. So that's the first one. So then, once we have answered that, and if it's a yes, and then of course we do all we can. If it's a no, it's not an emergency, and that person is perfectly capable of asking us for our help, that's it. That is it. There's no other part of that healthy boundary checklist to go to, because it's their choice. And that is huge. Absolutely huge. And I'm having a little revelation myself here at the moment. It's absolutely huge. Because as much as we can go through the healthy boundary checklist because we're expecting somebody to ask something, and we're getting boundaries up ready, ask yourself first. Because sometimes what can happen is, we can ask, can I help you? We can ask, well, what if you did it this way? What if you did it that way? And we can jump in without realizing we're going into savior mode, because this is a kind and compassionate act. When we strip it down a little bit and are really honest with ourselves, who is this fundamentally a kind and compassionate act for? And if the answer is yes, absolutely, you're going to be helping the other person, and they're capable of helping themselves, they're capable of researching answers, they're capable of asking somebody else if necessary, and they are used to you doing everything for them, so they just expect you to be there, who is that helping? It's not helping them, it's not helping you. It's distracting you, it's distracting us from our truth. It's distracting us from our experiences and moving on, because we are staying in an experience to help somebody else who hasn't actually asked for our help. They just expect that it's there because that's what they've been used to, rather than us going, okay, let's close this chapter. I'm still that person's friend. I'm still a member of the family. And when they feel they wish to ask me something, absolutely, I will be there. And so when we look at that, who is that helping? It's helping us. Let's be really, really honest with ourselves. When we're helping others, and this is about reciprocity, at some point somebody's going to go, oh, thank you so much. That's wonderful. You're amazing. Ask Aline. You know? And what does that do for us? That helps us as empaths. That's validation. And we feel that they feel okay. So we feel okay. And is that a true way of living? Is that actually slight manipulation? And it's really interesting that this is coming through, because I've spoken about this before. And today was very much about keeping the faith and trusting. And it's about trusting ourselves, and also trusting that the other people around us are perfectly capable of helping themselves without us jumping in. And so I would invite you for these next weeks, and this is for me as well, I would invite you just to take notice and observe. And it's no judgment either. This is an absolute judgment-free zone. Just observe how much you do things for people before you're asked, and how much you solve problems for people on a daily basis without being asked, and how much you get frustrated when you have the answers and you're giving the people the answers, and then a couple of weeks later or a few days later, they say to you, oh, well, I realize this now, I felt this, I understand this, and they don't acknowledge that actually you gave them the answer before. That is huge. That's a huge one as well, because many times when we know the answers, and I'm getting like this, I'm getting a bit shaky with this one, when we know the answers and we give those answers before that person is ready to receive them, they won't receive them. So has there been an occasion where somebody's come back to you and said, oh, well, I was watching this podcast, or I was watching an episode, or I'll give you an example. One of my family members, I was speaking to them about how pharmaceuticals are actually plants. You know, the root of pharmaceuticals is plants, and how it might be an idea, you know, how I don't take chemicals, etc. And it just felt at that moment, because it was coming through for me to talk about that. They didn't ask me. A week later, they are ordering cumin and black pepper and tea tree oil. And they say to me, oh, well, you know that comedian, Dara O'Brien, well, he was talking about how all pharmaceutical drugs come from a plant base, and he, you know, he's an expert in this and this and this. And it was so interesting, because I gave that information about a week before. That person perhaps was almost ready to have that information, and perhaps would only have started looking things up if I had said that, and maybe that's what I was thinking and feeling. What if the messages that I got through were messages that were coming through for them, that they were going to ultimately receive without me saying anything? Because the world is changing so much, as I said, towards the divine feminine. We're becoming more intuitive. We're becoming more in line with ourselves. What if that person, my family member, that was always going to happen? So that's another way to look at it. And I'm having little epiphany moments myself. So instead of winding yourself up with having the answers, giving the answers to other people, so they feel safe, they feel okay, so you feel safe, you feel okay, is just keep the faith. Keep the faith and trust in yourself. Trust in the universe. Trust that whenever we move and act from our hearts, that it's all going to work out okay. Okay, there may be some blessings in disguise in there. There may be some breaking down of structures for rebuilding. And this is coming in really strongly as well. Hang on one moment. So this is coming in really strongly. And we're talking about compassion and love over fear. It's working from a heart-based action. And another way to kind of feel into this is as creative, intuitive empaths, as healers, as seers, witches, wizards. However, we're not in categories, we just are beings. However something's coming through for you, before you're taking action to help somebody, is that coming from your head thinking, or is that coming from your heart feeling? So as I mentioned before, the emergency situation, that's absolutely heart-based. Anything else, look at your motivation. Look at your fundamental truth. Why am I showing up for that person before they've even asked me to be there? Why am I solving all of these problems all around me before I'm even being asked? And that's huge. And what just came up for me then as well is the where I live at the moment. Many of you know that we care for cats. And we have a situation at the moment where it's coming to a head. And I've been really feeling into this for a long time, that I would like all the cats here to be adopted. I would like them to be in forever homes. And that's what my reality is coming up at the moment, because what I'm feeling into is being shown to me. I was feeding the cats yesterday, and one of the residents came up to me and started speaking to me. And yes, there were some complaints there. Fundamentally, though, that was feedback. That was because I'm really feeling into, I would like to move the cats away from here. And this person was talking to me about moving the cats away from there. So because I've been doing a lot of work on myself, when my beautiful girl Cleo passed in September, there was this huge gap. And I didn't feel like myself, and I wasn't trusting, I wasn't keeping the faith, because I was in grief. And this is why I am dedicating all of these episodes since December, dedicating all of these episodes to all of our beautiful guides that guide us from the Rainbow Bridge. And grief comes in many different ways. It could be the loss of a loved one. It could be the loss of your old life. It could be the loss of a relationship. It could be the loss of an object, the loss of a home. And what that does is it's change. And so with empaths, especially, we're navigating change anyway, because we feel so much. When there's a huge change, and it happened for me, I was so distracted. And it was my nervous system. It was really important for me to listen to my body and listen to my nervous system. And so it was important for me as a creative, intuitive empath to feel safe. And I did not feel safe. I did not feel safe without my baby girl by me, as she had been for 17 years. I did not feel safe waking up in the morning and not having her waking me up in the morning. I did not feel safe with her not being against my heart. It was lots and lots of changes. So what that was doing was taking me back to cave people time, when my limbic brain kicked in, and it was fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And for me, it was freeze. I went numb. And that was my coping mechanism for a while. And it was distractions. It was I don't even remember what I watched. I watched TVs and movies, and we were also in the midst of a huge heat wave. I still got up, and obviously I fed the cats, I looked after the cats, I still did that. Aline wasn't there, she'd gone. I was so numb. And it's only been, I would say, in the past couple of months, because we had, you know, the passing of the wood snake. As we were coming to the end was when I was actually starting to feel the loss. Because yes, I had been crying before. Yes, I was in trauma before. That was my nervous system in shock. So I was in shock for a long time. And certain elements of me may be in shock. I was diagnosed with something called central sensitivity syndrome about 10 years ago now. And that includes PTSD. So everything heightened for me. And I really felt to talk about keeping the faith and feeling safe today, because we have the capacity, absolutely fundamentally, to feel safe on our own, regardless of what anybody says to us, regardless of what's happening around us. And as difficult as that can feel, and yes, I know, been there, done that, bought the t-shirts, it's recognizing that truth. It's recognizing, okay, there's lots of changes going on in the world, with world leaders, craziness happening there, with truths coming out with the royal family, with what's happening with cartel situations. And that can throw us off a little bit, because the news is a manipulation. So when we're focusing, and it's important to know what's going on around the world. If all we're focusing on is fear and what the news is telling us, and we don't have a good news station all the way across all of the channels, because that's where they want to keep us. They want to keep us in fear for manipulation, because that's where we can be manipulated. When we realize that we are safe, absolutely, and we trust our intuition, we trust our guidance, this is for ourselves, then we can start sharing our experiences of what works with other people, and they have a choice to listen or not, absolutely. And then we can start feeling, as we're really listening to ourselves, this is when we're shown what doesn't work. This is when lies are revealed. This is when we see where we've been lying to ourselves. This is where we see where we've put masks on to fit in. And this is where we start going, actually, no, I'm existing, I'm not living. And so if this is happening for you, my gorgeous, no, you're not alone. And please do reach out to me. I always say this, please do reach out to me. And also to feel into what works for me, not for everybody else. Feel into, close your eyes and just feel and be in your inner world and feel, what is my ideal? What is my ideal to wake up in the morning? And feel into, well, what does my home look like? What does my garden look like? Who's around me? Who is my circle of trust, if you like? What animals, beings, guides, people are around me in my circle of trust? And how am I being every day? How am I being fulfilled? How am I being enriched? How am I being nourished? And start feeling into that, and really start feeling, well, what makes me feel safe? Not everybody else, because let's face it, a lot of empaths, we have the capacity for others to feel safe. We're not talking about that. Yes, you do help others just by being here. You don't have to do anything. That's just who you are, just being here. You're constantly transmuting fear into love. That's who you are. We're talking about you, my gorgeous. What nourishes you? What fills you up? What fills your cup up? And when we start working with that inner work every day and start feeling into it, feel it into it in the morning, feel into it in the evening before you go to sleep, and notice how things start very gently changing around you, and you start noticing changes happening, and start feeling into, okay, I actually do feel safe, even though there's a blessing in disguise here. It's living this life with whatever's happening around us, feeling centered and grounded, and knowing that we are safe, and knowing that we are protected, and trust. So it's feeling safe and keeping the faith in yourself and keeping the faith in the universe. Because ultimately, my gorgeous, you are creating the universe around you. So whatever we're working internally on, whenever we're working with compassion and kindness to ourselves first, that is what's shown around us. If we're in a state of, oh, well, your bum looks big in this, or you don't look how you did a few years ago, or, oh, well, I said the wrong thing, or I did the wrong thing, or I made the wrong choice here, or I wish I had done that, shoulda, woulda, coulda. If we're living in shoulda, woulda, coulda in the past and berating ourselves, what's going to show up in our present? It's going to mirror what's going on our internal monologue, if you like. So when we're loving ourselves as our best friend, when we're caring for ourselves first before anybody else, when we're really observing rather than reacting to situations around us, when we're accepting that just by being here we're helpful, we don't have to prove anything to anybody. When we realize that, that's when life starts flowing. That's when life starts feeling so much easier. And we've come into the year of the fire horse now. And with that energy, fire is alchemical. Fire is transformational. So we went through the wood snake, which was lots of peeling off layers, peeling off layers, peeling off layers. Yes, we're into the fire horse, and the horse is charging forward and working with that transformational alchemical energy. What that's also doing is burning away still what doesn't serve us. So be really gentle with yourself, my gorgeous. Be really gentle, because we had the peeling off of the layers with that sensitive skin, that sensitive new raw skin, and then coming in with this fire energy with the solar eclipse. Still be really gentle with yourself. And yes, be gentle with the people around you. Absolutely. Be gentle with yourself first. Because if something arises and there is an emergency, it's really important you filled your cup, you're nourished, you're feeling strong and centered and grounded to help in the best way you can. And when somebody asks you something for help, and in that moment there is no one else that can help apart from you, and you really, really feel that, that's when it's so important that you're trusting yourself and you're trusting your guidance. And to do that, we really, really need to look after ourselves. And then what that also allows is moving forward is, if there's a teacher in you, we're all teachers and students, if there's a teacher in you, then perhaps you're going to be helping people from your experience as well. Because as we move more into compassion and kindness and respect for ourselves, for others, that's what starts showing up around us. And trust, when we're moving more into trust, that's what starts showing up around us. As we trust ourselves and we trust what's happening, people trust us too, because they feel our authenticity, they feel our heart, they feel our good intentions. It's natural that people will be drawn to you. What's really important is to offer help when it's asked for with your boundaries. If it's a case of you've been helping people for so long, as I said, and they're just used to it, and then it's, if you just got 5 minutes, go to my healthy boundary checklist, go through that. Is it an emergency? Can they help themselves? So is an emergency? No. Can they help themselves? Yes, let them help themselves. If it's a no, they can't help themselves, move on to the next one. Can anybody else help them? Yes. Encourage them for somebody else to help them. Can anybody else help them? No. Are you the only one that can help them with this? Yes. And if it's a yes, this is when you give a date, a time. You say, I can speak to you, I can help you with this for 5, 10 minutes, half an hour, on this date, at this time, and then you put your boundary in there. then your expectations have been set and their expectations have been set. And then one of the other questions to ask is, can you guide them to help them with this, to do this themselves? And if that is a yes, that is when you broach the, you can absolutely do this yourself. I'm going to show you how you can do this for yourself. Because you're not enabling them then, you're allowing them to have the experience of knowledge you're going to share with them, and then you can step away and they can have their own experience. And this is only if somebody is asking for your help who absolutely can't do this themselves, or, as I mentioned, an emergency. If there is a space where somebody else can do it or they can do it, you don't help, my lovely. You help by helping them, by saying, you can do this yourself. You absolutely can. And if they're fearful or they don't think they can do it, then perhaps you can say, well, actually, and they ask, will you help me? Then you can say, I will help you to do it yourself. And I will, if you don't necessarily have to be physically present, this is important as well. You can be on the phone, you can be on Zoom. Because when we go into situations as empaths, and yes, absolutely, we're nourished, grounded, it's so important that we have our boundaries with that. So I would suggest, with where you're helping anybody physically in their presence, you have your limit. So, and you don't go to your limit. You say, I have 20 minutes, I have half an hour. And if you don't complete what you were going to show them, don't push past that. You've set the limits, you've set the boundaries. Say, okay, that's where we are up to that. I can meet you again next week and we can go through it again. It's really important setting those boundaries, because you're setting a precedent for moving forward. And you're also teaching that other person boundaries for themselves as well. And you're giving them faith and trust in themselves, because we're all perfectly capable of living our lives when we trust ourselves. I'm laughing because I thought there was a great big creature going across the tree a moment ago, and I've just seen it's my gorgeous Coco, and one of my beautiful cats have just walked behind me because the sun's coming through, which is absolutely glorious, and I can't see so much. So when we're talking about trusting, so I trusted to come out and talk today and to feel into whatever was coming out. And yes, this may be edited. Yeah, I may share absolutely everything that's been coming through, including my moments where I've started, because being the highly intuitive empath that I am, being a fire dragon and being a projector in human design, there are certain elements of me where it's important for me to just stop a moment, get myself back and continue. And that's in life as well. It's allowing ourselves, nobody's perfect. And this is really important as well. We are not perfect. We didn't come here to be perfect. We came here for experiences, however they may look. So when you're going through something, don't expect it to be perfect straight away. So when you're having a conversation with somebody and you're setting your boundaries, don't expect that to be perfect and them to go, okay, great, wonderful, fantastic. Absolutely, you can visualize that before you're going in and feeling into that being a compassionate, wonderful conversation. There's probably going to be a bit of pushback from people because it's new to them as well. It's change. So they're going to be navigating the change as well. So when we come in and we're confident in ourselves, we're confident in our boundaries, and we allow whoever we're speaking to, who we're going to help themselves, to have their fears, to have their moments, allow them to have that, let them speak, let them feel whatever they need to feel, and we can say to them, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and we can say, I take responsibility because I've been helping you with this all along. It's completely understandable that you be feeling like this. This is new. And we can say, it's really important that I have my space to help myself, and equally it's really important that you know you can do this. You don't need me. You're perfectly capable of living your life in such and such a way yourself. And you're giving them I keep wanting to say enable, and it's not the right expression. I suppose you're enabling them in a way, yes, to live their own lives. You're allowing them and you're trusting them to live their own lives. And when people feel trust from us, that you've got this, you've got my support, in a very constructive way, not a detrimental way, not where you're not responsible or accountable for any of your decisions or actions. When people feel trusted, that's when they can start having faith in themselves. So it's really about, it is spreading the faith and spreading the trust, and it starts with us first. And you'll notice as well, because the conversations will feel like they flow naturally. And as we know, we're in Mercury retrograde at the moment. As we know, I'm very fairy, so sometimes I'll go a little bit somewhere else, and then I'll come back and I'll have the answer. And that's life. You know, life will sometimes distract us, and we'll go and have an experience and go, okay, no, yeah, I've lived that experience now. Can I get back onto my path, please? So it's just feeling into what works for me, what actually works for me. When I take off this mask of savior, when I take off this mask of solving everybody's problems, when I take off this mask of being the shoulder to cry on, and I look at what's that rewarding me? Why am I showing up like this? And we're not blaming the other people for saying, oh, well, you know, you're always asking me, you're always expecting me. They expect that because that's how it's always been. And it's not blaming yourself, my lovely. It's not blaming anybody else either. As empaths, from a very young age, or whenever we discovered we were empaths, we realized that for us to feel okay, others, it's important for them to feel okay. And we're not daft. If we're receiving information that's going to help them feel okay, so fundamentally we're going to feel okay, we're going to work with that information. Because that was our coping mechanism. That was our survival. We were in survival. We're not in survival now. We're in acknowledgement. We're embracing that we're empaths. And we're embracing that, yes, just by sitting here, we can help people. We don't have to speak. We don't have to do. We don't have to solve. We can just listen. We can just be there. And often when we just listen and we're just being there, that person will start having the answers themselves anyway, because it wasn't our responsibility to jump in. You know, I go back to the situation with my family member. Would they have naturally started finding herbal remedies themselves if I hadn't have said anything? It's so interesting, isn't it? So I'll get back to the fire horse. See, as we said, we go off and then we come back. So the fire horse energy. So with that alchemical fire, yes, it's about burning away what doesn't serve us. It's about transmuting. It's alchemical. I would really invite you to go really gently with yourself and not start sort of burning things away and burning bridges, if you like. Because in this eclipse energy, what happens is what we feel, and I'll give you an example, another one, what we feel so strongly about in the eclipse season, and we feel that's going to happen, and we think is going to happen, and we're pushing for it to happen rather than allowing, that can turn on a dime. So what I would like to share with you is if there's anything coming up in the eclipse season, and I call these blessings in disguise, that you're so sure of, and it suddenly twists and the complete opposite happens, it's because there's a better way. And as difficult as that can be to understand sometimes, it's because there's a better way. If you feel into that, of anything that's happened before and you thought the whole world was falling apart, when you look on that a few years ago, do you feel actually it couldn't have happened any other way and actually something better happened to replace that? Remind yourself of where situations have happened, when something comes up like that, and I'm not sharing the whole story. We've had a few situations with the cats that we care for where we felt something was going to happen, and it happened on Tuesday. We were celebrating, it was amazing, it was happening, and then in that moment, didn't happen. And what has helped me and is helping me with that is because there's a better way. Because the date for that to happen is a better date. It's not the right time yet, not yet. So sometimes, if there's something that you feel so sure about and it just suddenly twists, it's either because there's a better way or a better opportunity or a better place or a better person for you, or it's not the right time. There's a better time. So there's a better place, there's a better energy. If something suddenly changes and twists of something that you were so sure about, it's because there's something better for you, my lovely. There's something more for you, my lovely. So that felt really important to come in, because when we're in that eclipse and we can feel the heightened energy, because obviously the fire's rising with the solar energy, and then we have, as empaths, we can feel that very, very strongly because the whole world feels it, and sometimes we can connect into that, and then the world feels that, and various things happen. We've had so much happening in the world recently. Then we can almost start trying to control outcomes so we feel safe, and we can push, not realizing that we're pushing. We can almost, when we manifest, for example, we can say, I manifest this situation, I desire this, be careful what you ask for. And when it happens, so it doesn't happen in the way that we expected, or it happens and then it stops, it's because there's something better. So when we put something out there and then we have expectations of how that's going to be, and we push those expectations, if they suddenly change, it's because there's something better. And that felt really important to say. So it's keeping the faith, it's trusting ourselves, it's knowing how to feel safe without validation from others, feeling safe anyway, because we're not in survival mode. We've accepted that we're empaths. And when we've accepted that we're empaths, we're not constantly looking for validation. We're not constantly looking for, oh, isn't she, he, they wonderful? So what will start happening is, as you're having faith in yourself, as you're trusting yourself, you'll start realizing and trusting what does and doesn't work. And if we don't change that in this eclipse season as well, it will change for us. Okay? And as I mentioned before, I'm a fire dragon and a projector in human design. So with my energy, I can, you've probably seen throughout the podcast, with my energy, I can suddenly burst. And then it can be very easy to burn myself out. So and I'm a Leo. So I'm a fire sign, I'm a fire dragon, and I'm a projector. So with this energy, for me, for example, with the fire horse, I'm going to be asking for guidance with the friends of the fire horse. So with my talismans, with my amulets that I'm going to be having, I will be making sure that as well as I have the fire horse symbol, I will also be having the friends that calm that down, because it can be so easy for us just to burst into action. And this is why I talk so much as well about, that's why I love cats so much, because we learn so much from them. It's observing, taking the space, taking your own pace, taking your own time, trusting yourself, trusting at the right moment, and then we pounce like the cat. And then we charge forward like the horse. So I hope that helped, my gorgeous. It's really feeling into feeling safe and trusting ourselves. And when we're in that grounded place of trusting ourselves. I mean, look where I am. I'm outside, I'm in nature, and I'm always going to say this. The place I feel the most safe is nature, because nature knows. I always feel safe when I have my cats around me, my guides around me. I always feel safe when I'm with my tree of love. I always feel safe when I have my crystals. You know, when I have my crystals, I feel safe when I'm with the fae. I'm a complete fairy. So it's feeling into what helps you feel safe, because what helps me feel safe might not necessarily be the same as you. I love music. I'm a vegan. I love animals. That is my safe place. I love being in my medicine wheel. I love being with the elements. And they're all agreeing with me. Thank you. I love being with birds. I love being outside. That is my safe place. And, you know, we are here. Wow. We are here. As I said that, and I said, when I was saying wow, a whole flock of egrets, you won't have seen it because it's in front of me, has just flown over above. And now we have 2 egrets who are looking over from the roof, and the others flew over in the other direction. So I'm going to leave you with that, my gorgeous. There are blessings everywhere. Nature knows. Nature speaks to us. I've just had the egrets flying over. The pigeons have been talking to me all the way through this. The birds have been chattering around as well. The elements have been speaking to me to share this with you. So that was incredibly beautiful, with all the birds flying over me. And I've realized that although I didn't physically do my practice of all of the elements inside me, they've been all around me. I've been connecting with earth. I've been connecting with water, because I have the water in front of me. I have the sky above me. I've been connecting with the wind, and I've been connecting with fire, with the sun rising behind me. So this whole episode has been connecting, and I've been connecting with spirit, because that's what's been coming through and I've been sharing with you. So I've just been reminded, if this feels aligned for you, and probably will be because you're listening to this, be in nature, connect with earth, connect with water, connect with air, connect with fire, connect with spirit, connect with your spirit, my gorgeous. And I'm on day 9 of my conscious cocooning, which is the 22 days of self-love with Gaia. And today is I am safe. So that's why it was really strong for me to share that with you. I haven't gone through that meditation myself yet. I'll be doing that now to go under the tree. It was very, very strong. Share as the sun is coming up, because this is your safe space. And all the birds, another flock of beautiful birds have just gone over to remind me. Birds are messengers, by the way. In shamanism, we know this. Birds are messengers. They're our ancestors as well. Pigeons are obviously messengers. They're our ancestors. So when nature is speaking to you, listen, my gorgeous. Go outside without your phone. Switch your phone off, pen and paper, whatever. Or if you're just listening to some beautiful music and you have your phone there, switch off social media, I would say. Switch off WhatsApp, switch off notifications. And if you're listening to gorgeous music, really connect with that, because the frequency and sound, that is so beautiful for grounding. And you can incorporate that in the sound around you. I love the sound of nature. That is my safe place. So today is I am safe with conscious cocooning and the 22 days of self-love with Gaia. And originally I was guided to offer it for $9.99 for the whole 22 days for December. And then it was actually offer it for $9.99 up until the end of the wood snake. And then the other day, and this is it now, offer it for $9.99 until the 10th of March for eclipse season. So if you haven't yet, this is the only time I'm doing this. It's $9.99, and you will have the whole series of 22 days, which has got the actions, which has got the feelings, which has got working with the affirmations, which is the guided meditations, which is working with the emerald body, is working with the elements every day. And it's only 22 minutes to 25 minutes. Each day is all you need every morning. and then you work with that feeling for that day, with that belief. It's putting those beliefs into your system, my gorgeous. It's really working with that. And I've gone through it and through it and through it and through it. And this is, I don't know how many times I've gone through it myself. I only share what works for me, and this works beautifully. It's 22 days at $9.99. It was to honour the end of our 9-year cycle. And that is up until March the 10th. So you will have the whole 22 days for life. So if that feels aligned with you, I highly invite you to take action on that for yourself and listen to your heart with it. If it feels aligned, you know, really listen to your heart with that. So much love, my gorgeous. Next week, we are going to be with my incredible spiritual mentors, Foster and Christos T. Perry, and we listen. So in the way that I sit outside and I listen and I'm quiet under the tree, that's how the episode will be, and we'll just listen to their beautiful, beautiful wisdom. We're going to be feeling into love over fear. We're going to be feeling into changing the inside to reflect the outside. We're going to be feeling into the fire horse. We're going to be feeling into so much, and they are amazing. So I really invite you to tune in for that episode as well. And as always, please do get in touch with me. I love to hear from you. Please review, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff so we can spread the word. So much love. Oh.